guys, and welcome to this extra special episode of the Bad Idea Bros. So, as I mentioned in the last episode, I'd do an update for you on Thursday. Well, that's today. Today's now Thursday. So, Sid's run is in 2 days, and at present, the CT90 is not going to make it. There's a couple of reasons for that, and I'll go through those later. I'm also going to cover a few things about the bike that I've had a lot of questions about, and I've got to be honest, I'm really stoked that you guys have taken so much interest in this little build. It's very humbling that so many of you are interested in what I've done with this bike, the parts that I've used, and how I've managed to do the things. So without further ado, I'm going to spin the camera around and we'll start going over the bikes and explain what I've done. Alrighty, so starting from the front, had a lot of concern that there was no front guard on the bike. That's obviously not the case anymore. So I altered the factory CT90 guard. For those of you that are familiar, they're quite a large square guard on these things normally, and they've got all the bracketry and framework, I suppose, that makes them a bit stiffer. What I've done with this one is trimmed it down to more of a cafe racer style guard and just used some flat steel to make mounts to mount the guard just on the side there, as you guys can see. And it's also got a mount for the hydraulic brake line. While we're at the front, this bike is running 17-inch front and rear. Obviously it has a hydraulic conversion on the front end. You can see the caliper disc down to the right of the wheel there. What's missing, and what a few of you picked up in the photos I posted earlier, is there's no disc on this bike. And that is basically the biggest thing that is stopping me from making Sid's run with this CT. The disc I ordered, the easiest way to explain it is that it's the wrong size. So unfortunately, that is the main thing that's stopping the bike. So moving up from that, we've got the front forks. Obviously a defining feature on this bike. A fair bit of effort to get them on, as described in a few of the responses I've given on Facebook and Instagram. They're gold anodized upside down forks, originally from a 125cc pit bike. So we've got a bit more travel, they are a bit higher. The common question I'm getting is, what did it take to get these on the bike? Well, you're not really going to be able to see, but in the lower plate and the upper plate, I had to get some 42mm NSK bearings machined down to suit the CT's frame. So the OD was correct for this plate, but it just wasn't going to work with the frame as it was. So went and saw the guys at Da Vinci Steelcraft, and they sorted that out for me. So basically dropped off all the parts, the bearings and whatnot, and they made it happen for me. The other thing that needed to happen, and I do apologise for this, it's going to be really hard to see, but in here on the bottom plate is the steering stop, just where my finger is. Had to do a lot of machining to get that in the right position to work again with the CT's frame. Alright, so moving from there, it's got the factory handlebars. Obviously we've got a hydraulic style brake line, caliper and all that sort of thing. Other than that, it's pretty standard. I've got the OEM Honda indicators, standard mirrors, handlebars are the standard items, just painted black. The switch controls that are on this bike are a more modern setup. Took a bit to figure out the wiring for these. There's a few extra inputs than the originals, but made it work. Moving from there, the seat. Now, the seat's a bit of a sore point for me. I picked this particular colour and this material. I like the pattern and everything that's on it, but the colour isn't what I was expecting. That's on me, not on the upholsterer. I picked the grey suede. It just doesn't look the way I thought it was going to on the bike. So that's going to be changed in the future. Probably just go to black and keep it black. What else have we been asked? So the paint colour. This is a clone of the Volkswagen Audi Group Grey that you would see on like your GTI Golfs. The little hot Audi hatches, I think, come out in the grey as well. So that's basically what that is. The designs, so the Honda Trail 90, they were done by a fella here in Christchurch named Smeagol. He did all the designs for me, and they're just vinyl cut, clear coat over. The motor is a standard 90cc high-low ratio. I wanted to keep that in the bike for now. As I've hinted in a few of my posts, there will be an engine swap coming up in the future. I'm just working away on that at the moment. Moving back from there, we've got the rear suspension. That came out of my Keyway CR152. I'll touch on that shortly. All it's been done is pulled down, cleaned, and then I've painted the top area to match the front shocks, and that's pretty much it. Rear wheel is a standard CT90 rear wheel, sprocket standard. If you go back and view, I think episode 5, maybe 6 of this bike, you'll see that I'm running the standard CT90 Speedo on the rear wheel, so the arrangement's still exactly the same as it was on the front because the rear runs the same size drum. I just had to machine a couple of notches to take the Speedo drive. If you're more interested to see how I actually did that, go back and watch a previous episode, or ask some questions below. I'm more than happy to answer anything like that. You can see that it's got the standard rack. Well, not all, but most of the chrome's been deleted. Again, running the OEM style CT tail lights here. A lot of you guys have actually asked about the brackets for the rear indicator mounts. I made those. I kind of got into a position where I had to. I was on the hunt for some CG125 indicator mounts. They are the right style for what I was trying to do with this bike. That didn't eventuate. I couldn't get the C90 brackets. It's a whole thing. I ended up just fabricating them. So these are all made out of stainless steel. That is 1/2 inch stainless steel pipe that I flared on the inside edge to accept this bracket. And then it's got the aftermarket button head Allen screw retaining bolts, which I've actually gone through the whole bike. So I don't know if you can see in there, but even the mounting on everything for this is just the wee Allen key. I've decided to upgrade to everything. I just like the look of it, and I prefer the Allen key bolts. The exhaust is standard. It's pretty much a standard bike, other than the few obvious mods of suspension in the front end. So that, I think, should answer most of the questions that you guys had. I have been asked how much did it cost. To be genuinely honest, I don't know. My estimate would probably be around 3,000 New Zealand dollars that I've put into this thing. That would include buying the bike. I actually picked it up quite cheap, so I was very lucky there. And the rest of that's just hours spent working on it. If I was to have paid a shop to do all of the work, then this probably would have been a $5,000 or $6,000 build. Everything you see on this bike I've done, with the exception of the front end. Again, Da Vinci Steelcraft did that for me. Go and check those guys out. They're awesome. They're located here in Christchurch. Really know what they're up to. But yeah, guys, that's the CT90. It looks complete, and it pretty much is complete. It's just a couple of little things that are stopping me from getting this going. So unfortunately, unless a miracle happens in the next day and a half, this thing will be sitting in the shed for Sid's Run. Which brings me on to the next bikes. So we're still going to be doing Sid's Run. Wouldn't be missing that for the world. So we've got the old 82, I think it is, CG125. Josh's bike, you would have seen this in a few other episodes previously. This will definitely be going on the run, and I'll pull the keyway out for it as well. For those of you that aren't familiar with this bike, go back and check out my Keyway to the Island series and some of the latter stuff in series 2 of when I was modifying it. So with the 19-inch front rim, the suspension, I'm not going to go into it in too much detail in this video because that's not what it's about. But guys, that's what we're looking at. So unfortunately, the CT at present won't be coming on Sid's Run, but we do have a backup plan. So regardless of what we're on, if you see us, come and say hi. Let me know what you think about the bikes. And the CT isn't dead and buried. I will damn well make sure that this thing is going ASAP. My front brake disc, God knows how far away that is. It's just freight's the killer at the moment for everything. I'm surprised that it's only one item that's caused me grief, but that's the way these things go. But guys, I really look forward to seeing you, meeting you, and chatting with you at Sid's Run on Saturday. So 2 days from now. Thanks so much for watching this one, guys. Bye.